Welcome to your 30s. You're going to love it. Welcome, everybody, to Life at 30, episode 2. Today, we're going to be talking about relationships. As we all know, relationships are hard. I personally think relationships are hard any stage of your life. And I'm actually really excited to be talking about this topic because I feel that I have made every mistake in the book in my previous relationships. And I can now say in my 30s, I have gotten to a point where I can cultivate a healthy relationship. And I want to welcome everybody. We have Brittany. We have Verito. We have Rocky. And last but not least, Lluvia. Thank you guys so much for joining. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk about this really difficult topic. I want to direct this specific following questions, this next 2 questions, to Rocky and Lluvia, specifically because you guys are either single or starting a new relationship in your 30s. So let's first talk about that, and then I'll open up the floor to anybody else who wants to speak on the subject. So the first question, what is it that you look for? What kind of qualities in your 30s now do you look for when you start a new relationship? And I'll give you some examples. For example, is it important to you now in your 30s that you have the same values as the other person? Is it important, religion is important to you? What kind of things do you look for now that you didn't before?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely look forward to asking questions about obviously our present and our future, not just what are you doing, how's work. I actually definitely want to know where your mindset is. Do you want kids? Is family important to you? Where do you see us, in the next 5 years? Those type of things are definitely important now to me. Now that I'm in my 30s, so definitely religion doesn't really have to be important, but I would like to know where you stand when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like for you to also know where I'm at when it comes to that as well. And when it comes to, I guess you can say marriage as well. I don't look at marriage as just being in paper.
Mm-hmm.
I really do take marriage very seriously, love seriously. So, yeah, I think so far, as of right now, because I've been single for so long, for right now, that's where I consider where I'm at when it comes to me wanting to get in a relationship in my 30s.
Absolutely. Lluvia, do you want to add anything to that question?
Well, I think it's important to have core values, right? And I think Rocky mentioned all of them. Is this other person wanting to get married or not? As far as religion, same. Depending on what my values are, do they align? Are they going to get offended if I say something? Shoot, even politics. I have a big mouth, and sometimes I don't hold back. Are they going to accept my opinion, or at least respect it? I don't need them to agree with it, but more so respect it. I think other qualities would just be, I'm a workaholic, and are they willing to accept that and understand where I'm coming from? And what is their vision moving forward overall?
So talking about these things, actually, in me coming up with these questions and me thinking about this episode, I realized that the things that we look for in our 30s are things that we probably never thought about, right? I never thought about that maybe I needed to be on the same page with somebody in regards to kids, and I think that once you enter a relationship in your 30s, I feel personally, for me, those type of values, they become a little bit more important than in your past, and you start noticing how important those things are. And and is it a deal breaker if those type of things are no longer, like, if they don't align? Is it a deal breaker if one of you guys wants kids? Is it a deal breaker that one of them is a different party, political party, than the other one? What kind of deal breakers are there? Any deal breakers for you guys starting a new relationship? One thing that I actually have had a discussion with a friend of mine is the other person being healed and in the same level as you are. You have already worked on yourself. Are you willing to start a new relationship with somebody that hasn't put in the work? Do you want them to be already in the same level as you? Are there any deal breakers for you guys?
Mine's communication and honesty, really. Uh, Once that honesty is broken, that's a deal breaker for me. But that's even since I was younger, I think. I think we're all, as just human beings, in different levels when it comes to mental health, period. I mean, that includes my siblings, my parents, any type of relationship. I am the least person to judge when it comes to that. That's not a deal breaker for me. The deal breaker for me is definitely the honesty beyond that, and just communication.
That was a good question. And
Yeah.
so with that one, I had to think long and hard when it came to that. At one point, I did think about, because where I'm at in my life, and I was able to heal, to know better, to know where I want to be in life. And when I get to a relationship, I would expect that hopefully the person can be somewhat there. But now that I think about it, as I talk to a friend, and I think I would be okay if that person that I try to get with is not quite there with me yet. I'm perfectly okay, just like you just said, like honesty, like communication is everything to me. Um, I feel like in my 30s, I have become so much better in communicating, so much better because now the way I communicate now is I try to understand and not just respond. So I really believe that it's okay. It's okay that you're not where I'm at, or it's also okay if I'm not where you at. But if we're trying to do something, if we're trying to get into a relationship, then that's the whole point of being a team. Let's just communicate and let's work on it, because whatever your downfall, I'm going to feel like that's going to be my downfall because as your partner, I need to be there for you to help you, lift you up. When you need someone to talk to, I need to be the one that's all ears for you and vice versa. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? You both mentioned communication. You mentioned being able to listen instead of automatically respond. And I think that being an effective communicator makes a huge difference in a relationship. And for me personally, I can tell you in my 20s, first of all, I was not communicating correctly. And then second of all, it always felt like it was about what I had to say and not necessarily what the other person wanted to say. And I was not receiving that information. And then, so now in my 30s, I'm able to put myself in their shoes, or at least I try to put myself in their shoes and be a better communicator. Not only just say what I want to say, understand where they're coming from. And I feel that goes a long, long way in having a healthy relationship and a long-term relationship at that. So I wanted to touch back. This next question, I wanted to tie it back to the first episode of Life at 30. Now that we are more aware of who we are in our 30s, and this is the floor is open to anybody who wants to talk on this. Now that we are aware of who we are in our 30s, what is it that you look for to get out of your relationship?
I personally don't have an expectation. Uh, I'm gonna go back to saying communication. And what I mean by I don't have an expectation is that I myself change. Uh, I myself today may have a good day or a bad day. Is my partner, like Rocky said earlier, going to be okay with that? I'm not perfect. Um, so I feel like setting, there's goals, which is different. So yes, you strive for different goals, but to have an expectation, I feel like you set yourself for failure. Like, oh, because I did this, you have to do that. No, we're all grown-ups. We can all do certain things, right? That's just my personal opinion on that.
Do you feel like, do you expect to get the same that you're putting in, the same effort that you're putting into a relationship?
Again, I don't want to use the word expectation. And I think as I come in my 30s, I've realized that what I want, and if I don't receive it, then I'm just gonna remove myself from it. Does that make sense? Also, like boundaries, knowing how to respect certain things that I like, and continue to be my own self and not allow myself to turn into something that I'm not. So again, just it's not an expectation for me, but more of a, do we flow together and can we grow together?
So two things I want to say on what you just answered. You said that you don't necessarily want to change who you are. Would you still compromise with that other person?
When I say change who I am, I mean like my course, right? Again, obviously there are things, period, that you're going to balance each other with.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always going to go my way. It's not always going to go their way, I'm sure. I'm not saying compromising, but I'm saying like my certain course of who I am, how I dress, how I do my hair, um, simple core things like that that make you you. Does that make
Gotcha.
sense?
Gotcha.
I'm trying to put it all together. Um, I wouldn't say expect anything from your partner. And I keep hearing everybody say, I don't want them to change me. I don't want them to change me. And everything is about me, me, me. The thing is about when you're in a relationship, it's you and your partner. It's not just you anymore. So I understand you have certain core values. I understand you have this. And when you go into the relationship, they're one person and everybody evolves, everybody changes, no matter what your age. So I feel that for you to say, I don't expect them to accept it, or if they are with me, I expect them to accept it. It's like, no, you have to be able to adapt with the changes that are coming on with your partner and make it work for the both of you, which is where a lot of compromise comes into play, like Anna said.
Right. And I didn't mean to say that I wouldn't compromise. I'm sorry if that came out wrong. I'm just saying that I don't expect them to be okay. Let me put it this way. When I was younger, there was an expectation I had for my life, an expectation that I had for me and that certain someone. And I was boxing them and I was boxing me, right? So what I'm saying, that's what I mean by the word expectation. I don't expect certain things from the other person. Now, however, that's why I said, as we're going through the relationship and we're flowing through the relationship, of course there's going to be compromises. And of course there's going to be kind of like a push-pull type thing. Does that clarify what I meant?
Yeah, it does. And I heard from a show, I believe. I heard something that someone said, and it really like hit home for me. They said, if I give you my heart, you have a responsibility with me. You have a responsibility to take care of it. And you know, that obviously entails 100 things, right? You have the responsibility to communicate with me if something's not working out. You have the responsibility to tell me, like, if I'm doing something that's making you unhappy. And so, you know, to Verito's point, I do feel that there is that certain expectation, because if for me personally, if I'm putting in my time, if I'm giving it my best shot, that other person does have a responsibility to essentially match my effort, or for us to work together in a way where I'm not going to be feeling like I'm on this by myself and there's no expectations, and, you know, like, you do you, and I'm over here doing me, you know?
And that's if you want to accept that responsibility, right? You know, because I think that relationships are very different in all situations. And I feel like if you are putting that time and effort into that other person, you do want to essentially, like Juvia said as well, you're growing together. So I feel like the responsibility part is more like, I'm trusting you with my heart. I'm trusting you with my time. I'm trusting you with my emotions, with my physicality, like all those different things. And I'm trusting you to respect me and return the same as well. Like, you're going to give me your heart too. But again, it's like, if you both want to, and I feel like all relationships are different, but the ones that are going to last forever, right? Because you're always going to be changing, you're always going to be evolving, things are always going to be like, what? You know, but I'm choosing.
Thank you for eloquently saying what I meant. Thank you, Brittany.
That's why I invite her to the Zoom meetings. So let me go ahead and ask this question. We actually have about 10 minutes left, and I wanted to ask this question. I specifically wanted Verito to join this Zoom call because Verito has been with her partner since high school. And I think that I feel that I could learn a lot from her experience with her partner. I mean, I can only imagine they met in high school. They've gone through all of their 20s, now in their 30s.
All of it.
Yeah. And so can you tell us your experience and how it is now, how it has been and how it is now in your 30s?
We got together really young. I was 19 and she was 17. So technically, officially 17 years that we've been together.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm 36 now. So it's been 17 years. We started, we got together really young. We moved in. We were the U-Haul relationship.
Yeah.
I started staying over one night and then I never left. The joke turned into this long-term kind of commitment. We're not legally married. Like Rocky said, the paper was never important to us. It's not important to us. And I matured at a very young age. So all these questions that you guys are talking about, what you look for in your 30s, we spoke of it in our early 20s. I think I was like 23 or 24 when, and most of you know the story, the ones I've talked to before. She told me she didn't want kids. And I'm like, you don't want kids? I want kids. And I told her then and there, we'd been together 4 years. And I said, if you don't want kids, then this is where we leave our relationship. Go your way, I go mine. I love you to death. But the one thing that I know that I do want out of life is to be a mom. So if it's not going to be, if that's not what you want, then I don't want it. And then she tried to say, well, why can't you not have kids and do it for me? Why do you want me to have kids and do it for you? I said, I don't want you to have kids. If you don't want to have kids, don't have kids, but I do. And so those kind of, I call those the breakers.
The deal breakers.
Anyways, so long story short, I don't know what made her change her mind. And I obviously I was like, don't do it just because you don't want to separate, because it's a big responsibility. But we went through that early on, and so now in our 30s, I think the way our relationship has evolved is that we were able to pick our battles. And like I know her to where I know, okay, she's screaming and fighting with me right now, but it's not because of me. Like I know she's having a hard day. So I'm able to pinpoint exactly what may be going through her mind, even though I still have to remind her, hey, I'm not a psychic. I can't read your mind. I need you to tell me what's going on. So communication obviously is very important. But I don't think specifically being in our 30s has changed since, because like I said, we had the hard conversations in our early 20s. And so right now it's just more of, I guess picking our battles would be the one thing I know that for sure we both do now, because we don't just keep arguing for no reason.
Yeah, that's the hardest one, I think, honestly. I think it always ties back to like that communication thing. I think that communication is a difficult thing in every aspect of people's lives, regardless of if it's a friendship, if it's a romantic relationship, if it's at work, you know.
Oh, can I
Just-
add into the
Yeah.
romantic part? Sorry, now that you're there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
not to throw our life out there, but it's
Please
the one
do.
thing that we make sure we keep on track. Like, even if we have to schedule it, hey, it's been 2 to 3 days already, it's time. So always keep that in mind. That's very important.
What you doing on Friday? You got some time for me?
Yeah, oh yeah, trust me.
7 p.m.
And so-
baby.
Let me
It's
add you
on.
on my schedule, baby. Put it on your Google Calendar.
That's the one thing that I think it's harder to work on as your relationship, as you go into the longer years, because we're already going to be 20 years. And
Yeah.
so that's something, but we have slowly been able to work out to where we have a certain day or time frame for just us two. We have our date. There was a period of time where we didn't have dates. It wasn't just us two. So we've gone back to realizing how important it is, and so we schedule it, and we know that certain days and certain time frames is just for us too.
Would you say now that you have kids and that you do take the time to make dates and have that time for yourself, would you say that that has been like a positive thing, that like
Oh,
now
yeah.
whenever you are in as a family dynamic, that has helped with the, you know, I guess just the interaction between you four?
Yeah, because during the day, we have 2 little boys, so during the day it's about keeping them alive.
Yeah.
And so by the time bedtime comes around, we're like both exhausted. And like she likes to watch her TV shows and do whatever she does on the TV. I like to do a lot of research and reading on the internet, and I go through articles and stuff. That's my boring stuff that I do. And so we don't have the energy to put into each other by that time of night. So when we have our date, those are the little moments that we flirt or that we couple things. And so it's helped. It helps a lot.
I love that. I love that you say we flirt.
Oh yeah.
That's
We try
awesome.
to do it during the day, but it gets kind of hard when you're trying to scream at little kids running around and doing everything. And yeah, it gets hard. It gets hard, but it's possible. It's still possible.
I can imagine. Hey, what are you wearing? Hey, put that down right now. No, you're gonna fall.
That's exactly how it goes. Exactly.
Where
how it
was
goes.
I?
And then you can't say things like your ass look fine, girl. You have
Yeah.
to be like,
Yeah.
that booty of yours though. The bumpies, yeah, that's so cute. Because you can't be
The
like
peach, babe, the peach.
the peach, babe.
You start speaking kid language. You know what our sign is for it may happen today? The movie Frozen. And it says, do you want to build a snowman?
I so do.
That's her
I
cute.
want to build
That's
the
her
hell
cute.
out of that
And our
snowman.
kids will never know what we're talking about. Ever. They'll just
That
think we're
is
talking about
so
Frozen.
smart.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Because she's trying to get her to play. So that's what we call our playtime. So we're like, do you want to
I
build a
can't
snowman?
see Frozen the same way anymore.
Ever
You
again. Ever
won't.
again. Oh my
Same.
You're
god.
welcome. You're welcome. Sorry for killing Frozen for y'all.
No, I think that's awesome. I do genuinely feel like those are kind of the conversations that me and my wife have had about like how are we about to, I know, right? It's so cute. That like us having kids and stuff like that, like how do you maintain us, you know? And I find that before, like when I was single, right? Like single, I would always be like, girl, please, in my relationship about to be fire, okay? Fire all day, every day. You don't know, it's about to be hype, right? And then you're actually in a relationship for a long time, right? It does become difficult because you are tired, and I don't even have kids, okay? So, you know, you really do have to like work at that with each other. It's not like that simple thing that you thought it was going to be whenever you were single.
Okay, so I just want to thank everybody for joining me on Life at 30's episode 2, relationships. I feel like we can go on talking about this forever, and a part 2 is very much in the works. I will let y'all know. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about this topic. We'll talk about it again. I'll think of some other questions, and we'll bring in some other different people, different opinions. Like I was telling Lily, you know, someone that's watching this video may be able to relate to different people on here. One of my main reasons for this, as I've said previously, is that we're all on very different phases of our 30s. We're on very different stages of our lives right now. And so, you know, don't feel like you can't talk about your experiences. Don't feel like you can talk about, you know, what you're going through in your current relationship, or what you look for in a relationship whenever you start a new relationship in your 30s. So again, thank you so much. I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend, and we'll do this again. This has been Life at 30, episode 2. All right, y'all, here we go. And I don't say action. I just feel like saying action. Okay.